I'm Bland Tomkinson. I'm one of the leaders of the Managing Humanitarian Aid Projects module. The main thing about the course unit is that it's very different. It's different in its style. So it actually uses a series of problem scenarios. And as a student, you come in, you're put in a group with other students, probably from other nationalities. We hope from different academic backgrounds, because some people are engineers, some people have a business studies background. We have architects and scientists as well, so we try and get them fairly mixed. So you're with a group of perhaps 7 other students, and you're given a scenario which you then have to tackle. At the very beginning of the module, we'll give you some assistance in terms of how do you find out things, what's your information strategy. And through the course of the module, you get some help in terms of how do I work with other people in a group? Do I have a specific type of role that I prefer to do in a group? Do I like to sit back and listen to other people and then try and summarize what they've said? Do I like to rush out and get information from the web, or do I have some other approach to these sort of issues? So the way in which it operates is fairly different. This actually develops your skills in working with other people, particularly with working from people from other disciplines and other countries. But it's also very different in the way in which it's assessed, so that there are no examinations. Yes, there is some form of assessment, but it doesn't count for the first half of the semester, if I can put it that way. Only the last ones count. So you get assessed as a group on the project. Typically this may be a written submission plus an oral presentation on an issue related in some way to humanitarian aid. The problems you get are cumulative, so that you get slightly simpler problems at the beginning and slightly more complex ones at the end. So the final one is likely to be much more complex. So you get a group mark for that. And then we have a form of peer assessment where you're asked to rate your fellow students' contribution on each of 10 headings. This is then compiled so that we can modify the group score. Not to a large extent, but to some extent, to allow for the different contributions. The other major element is a reflective report. This is not a particularly lengthy report, but where we expect probably about 5 or 6 pages of A4, where you stop and think about each of those problem scenarios that you've done, what you've learnt from them, both in terms of what you've learnt about humanitarian aid, but more particularly what you've learnt about the management of change, and also what you've learnt about working with other people. So it's looking at how you've learned, but also importantly, how you're going to apply that learning in the future. So yeah, it's a very different one. I think it's exciting, I think it's fun, and most of the students would agree with that, I think.
I chose humanitarian aid as I saw it as a chance to engage my problem solving skills and also my project management skills. So I wanted to further explore humanitarian aid as well, because I'd had a bit of experience with voluntary projects before.
I've been an active volunteer since school, so I'm curious about what the program offers. I mean, we hear a lot about World Vision and a lot of NGOs, so I'm just curious, like, what exactly they're doing to help the people.
I was expecting to work in a group, I was expecting some interesting challenges, and I expected to try to engage myself more with the understanding of what project managing humanitarian aid might involve.
I think maybe they'll teach us about general knowledge about what humanitarian aid is all about.
They were largely met, and even I had to do even more than I expected. I expected it to kind of be quite simple, but it turned out that I had to involve myself more with group work and more communication. There's a lot of international students, which meant that I had to take a lot of time and be a lot more patient with people. So previous experience with groups, it was quite easy because there was one natural language between us, but with this I had to engage myself more and force myself more to communicate effectively with people.
I'm positively impressed because it's beyond my expectation.
I really enjoyed the idea of actually practicing the project management skills. In a lot of the other modules, you talk about it and maybe there's one or two examples where you get to do group work or get to learn a little bit more through actually demonstrating your skills. But with this, you had to engage fully your project management skills, and it's also quite useful because the module's taken with other students from another course, and their contributions are quite interesting to the actual group work as well. So it was quite good. Yeah, I had previous experience as well with humanitarian aid, and I felt like the module was another step towards and just improving on skills that I already had. So I felt like it was a natural kind of progression with that.
Basically, this is a group work where everyone have to contribute. Yeah, and then we have peer assessment where we rate each other and decide who contribute more and who contribute less. So I think it's a very fair system. Yeah. I really like the idea of group rotation because we don't know what to expect. We don't know who we are working with. So basically, if we were called for a mission, so we have to work with just anyone available. So there'll be cultural differences, and we have different strength and weakness. So we just have to work together as a team.
Probably the greatest challenge was communication. I mean, personally, I went to the module and I thought I was a good communicator, but I soon found out that consistency is probably the most important thing in communication, that you always consistently have to be able to communicate with other people and make yourself available. And also, on the other hand, you have to be able to make sure you're heard and that you're understood. And a lot of the time you can't just ask someone, do you understand? Because it's quite patronising. So finding ways of making people understand their roles and responsibilities was the most difficult thing, but also probably the most rewarding I've gained from the module.
I find it to work in a team or a group is not easy because apparently all of us have different characteristics, and there comes in the cultural barrier, the communication, and we just have to, we try to understand and try to work together, and at the same time we have to learn about ourselves. Yeah, so in order to contribute for a group and to be able to work side by side with others, it is very important. I think that is the main challenge. It's just exactly like in the workforce where we can't have everyone agree on everything. So yeah, but disagreement is good in a way that we have conflict, we can build a better report out of it. So yeah.
I've learned a lot about humanitarian aid and how it's organised and how it's run. I've also learned a lot about how to learn and adapt as a person with even in any sort of environment, learning environment or anything else. You have to look at yourself and how you adapt. So the biggest point of assessment is the reflective log, and being able to do that successfully is probably the best thing in this module, is reflecting upon how you're learning, how you're contributing to a group, and then how you move forward and gain skills is the most important thing. And it's also so transferable towards getting a job in the corporate world or moving on into maybe the humanitarian aid sector.
Try different approach, understand team motivation, which is very important to keep the the momentum of the team going on, and we draw the different strength from each individual in order to achieve a very good, excellent outcome. Yeah. All the skills learned are so practical. Yeah, we can apply it for our job, which is just like real situation, which is applicable, it's not theoretical.
I suppose I've changed my goals, so realistically I hope that project management has helped me improve my chances of gaining entrance into the corporate world, but I think the humanitarian aid also gives me a good chance that if I did walk into a corporate job or what was termed as the third sector, I could actually engage better with people from other countries and also be able to prove that I have practical problem solving skills and project management skills from this course, not just I've learnt about it and I haven't practiced it.
People management. Yeah, it's all about people management, and by understanding how different people work and how we can work in a group, we can actually reduce the conflict at work. Yeah, to bring out more of the positive traits in people. Yeah.
The unit's actually changed my mind about what I wanted to do. I want to actually move into the humanitarian aid sector now. I had a little bit of experience before taking this module, but it's kind of opened my eyes. My dissertation's related to humanitarian aid and disasters, so I'd really like to work in international development now, not just engineering, so it's really changed my mind.
I have a clearer picture of what I want to do. I'm driven by the idea to work for humanitarian organization, because with this clearer picture and my background, yes, I think I can contribute in this area. Yeah.
I'd recommend this student definitely to other students. I think it's very rewarding. It's a great way of practicing your project management skills. It's a great insight into what projects actually require, not just what you're told by your lecturers or maybe you read in a book, but you get a good understanding of what is needed within a project, and the difficulty of humanitarian aid projects means that you have to fully engage your skills.
Yes, definitely yes. Because this subject is very practical, because apparently it offers a glimpse how the workforce function. I mean, for those students who have no work experience, they can learn this, which is like very similar to what they'll get from a job. Yeah.
Okay, my advice to other students would be to make sure you're really open to other people and just engage as much as you can and just help each other out, basically.
It depends on what the student really want, really. But for me, I find this course offers development of soft skill, which you can't really learn outside at work. Yeah, I mean, there's no one will tell you like how you are supposed to do, what you are supposed to do, and how are you supposed to react, what is the right way. I think this is the moment, this is the right time to learn all the skills. And we have feedback, we have guidance from our lecturer, how to carry ourselves. Yes, so I find the skill is very practical.